Okay. So we are live. Welcome to Rise Up CX Talks. This is the podcast where we uncover how to transform customer experience into sustainable revenue. I'm your host, Camila Ferreira, an award-winning CX leader and international speaker, and I'm thrilled to guide you through insights and strategies that drive lasting success. Today, I have the pleasure to welcome Juan Burquiz, a seasoned CX leader and who I have had the chance and the pleasure to work with and learn from. So, with no further ado, Juan, tell the audience a bit about yourself and what you do to create and drive better experiences.
So thank you very much. First of all, Cami, for having me today. It's just an honor to be part of this project and to be talking with you. Like anytime that we talk together, it's just amazing. Yeah, about me, I'm a client experience senior manager. I've been working in the industry of client experience for like over 10 years now. The best part or the best thing that I can say about me is that I worked in both of the places. Like I worked in the outsourced piece for a long time, and then I transitioned to the in-house piece, where the focus of the things changed a little bit. So the first thing that I can tell you about the client experience and how I influenced it over the time is like leading the people in the right way and making sure that the people are going in the direction that we want and the direction that is better for our customers. So that's the way that we start working with the people and making sure that the like the objectives of the company aligns with the strategy of the client experience piece. And the difference, we're going to talk about it later on, but the difference between one and the other is the objective of each one of them. At an in-house, what we are like caring the most is the product itself, and the support piece is just a part of the product. And how can we make it better? Is the way to go. And in an outsource, our product is the client experience. So that's the main difference. We offer services for other companies that requires the service from us, and there's a lot of changes and whenever you transition from one to the other. So yeah, that's a little bit of like a background for me. Thank you very much for having me.
Of course. And I love that you mentioned that you put employee at the center of what you do, because this is one of the values that I share as well. I keep saying here on this podcast that we cannot do anything, we cannot transform anything if we do not kind of care about our team, about our employees, about the people that we work with. Fantastic. So, as the topic of today, and I feel a little bit kind of a part of this transition of you coming from a BPO to an in-house support. The topic of the episode today is actually the difference, right? And you have made that transition after so many years working on a BPO with a wealth of knowledge and background of managing accounts. You went to lead an in-house support team. So how was that transition for you? Share with our audience. So the
Yes.
main points, right? So let's not go only for the good things, but how was that transition? The main differences that you observed, and how you adjust yourself? Because at the end of the day, it's about kind of understanding the environment and moving forward.
Yeah. So it was actually a tough one, and I gotta be honest with you. Like at the beginning of the transition, the first days, I was completely in shock with the different cultures that we have. So I was coming from a company which is one of the largest providers of BPO services for over the world, with like over 250,000 people working from them globally. So that's a huge one. Whenever I transitioned to the other company, like the in-house project that I was working with, it was such a shock to see how many things are different. The first thing that I would like to bring is the alignment with the projects that we have, and also the way that the processes that we have implemented back in the BPO or the outsourcing piece was pretty strict, and we have a lot of like SOPs that were worked like pretty much condensed into the company all around the world. And whenever you go to an in-house, it's a complete different story, right? This was a startup, so the fact that it was a startup brings a lot of challenges as well. Not just like being a regular company, like a large one that already has like their own support, but this was a completely different one because the things were changing in a daily basis. So things were like going crazy, like over the place. And with the outsource provider that I was working before, it was pretty structured. Even though I had a lot of accounts over that I oversee at that moment, there was a lot of things that were like stable. So you get a new client, you implement the new client and start getting like the people and making sure that everything works for them. And then you stay there for I don't know, a year, and then you change to the next one, right? And you do over the same, and the things are like exactly the same, and you just go to the process, go to your manuals, and whenever you see like the things, there's already like a resolution or idea of what we needed to do, because there was a lot of like processes that we need to follow and specifics. And whenever you go to the in-house support, there's a lot of things that you build. So one of the best things that I can say about like making the transition from an outsource to an in-house is the fact that you were able to create different things. And that was one of the biggest things that I appreciated about the new company, was just to be able to create the things by myself and start working with the people that I was working there, and into making the things shift to a more structured way within the company. So yeah, it was a tough transition, but it was a funny one. And I think that I love the experience of like changing around and going to a different like idea of the client experience piece, because it's a completely different one. And just to like put that around, the one of the things that changed the most is how we challenge or ourselves into doing the things in a different way, and how can we implement those changes. And everything is with the people, not through the people, but with the people. So yeah, that's the main points on the difference that we're.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's interesting to hear you saying that at the BPO you have things more kind of a structure. I think it was a combination of two significant changes for you, right? One is transition from a BPO to an in-house, and an in-house of a startup.
Mhm.
Because on a startup environment, we know that one of the benefits is freedom, right? But one of the challenges is the lack of processes. And coming from such a well-structured environment, I can understand and feel how painful it was for you, kind of landing in there and say, "Oh my goodness, what is the process for this?" No, there is no process. Where is the process for this? No, there is no process. No, fantastic. The other thing that I want to explore, you mentioned here in your answer, right, that you used to be allocated for a period of time, like a year to an account, and then you would move forward. What kind of challenges transitioning from one, I imagine, one big account to another one used to bring to you?
It was a complete different story. So it was tough. So first of all, you create bonds with the people. That's the initial piece. And I'm gonna talk a lot about the people, because I truly believe that the people is the most important piece. So whenever you were like one of the programs and then move to the other one because they were like new or they required support, it was tough to go to a new one and start over. So that was one of the things that I liked the most at the beginning with the outsource provider that I was working with, because we were able to like reach out different people and get our ideas to different guys. But at the same time, whenever you change one program to the other, it was kind of sad to leave the people behind. And the challenges in general, every client that we had in the performance, and I worked with 14 different uh, clients over the time that I was there. It was a different situation. So we can go for example, from a financial team to a retail a client, or like a telecommunications one, or like a travel one, and we were like just moving around, learning different ideas or concepts of products that we can sell. So that was one of the challenges, especially changing from such a big difference of like the core business of the client that you were handling. That was kind of tough. We needed to like roll really fast. To be honest with you, one of the things that I liked the most about changing like programs from one to the other was the opportunity to start from fresh. But that was not the situation with each one of the programs that I have. Some of them were already there, and I needed to change because there was something happening. For example, I was with a client, and they say we need help, so come over to this one and help us out making the things get stabilized. And then you fix some things, and then you go to the other one. And as I mentioned, just follow the process, make sure that everything is online, and that you are like in the same way or the same areas to make sure that the successful piece goes well. um, and that was pretty much like the idea. And the in general, the way that we see like uh, the clients and the different products, was tough. That was the biggest challenge that we had. But at the end, and also the best part is that we were able to connect to a lot of people. So out of that company, I know like pretty much 50% of the people right now, because there's a lot of people new, but I pretty much learn from that people and continue to work with those guys. Sometimes they just call me back and say, "Hey, Juan, I need help on this. Can you help me with what are your ideas on this one?" So that's lovely.
Fantastic. So you have had a chance to work for different industries, not necessarily changing companies, right? Which is a huge win. I, for example, in my professional history, I have decided to change industries to learn from different industries and bring that diversity to my professional background. But unlike you, I had to move from one company to another. So it's really a good opportunity to learn without having to change in jobs.
Yep.
Good. So let's talk kind of another topic here that I love very much, which is how to leverage customer experience to drive more revenue. Right. I think at the end of the day, one of the challenges faced by STX leaders is position themselves as too operational and not necessarily connecting to the main lines or the main strategies of a company, which is definitely not your case. So for so many years, you have not only supported those brands, but helping them grow. And then when you were kind of working for this other company, for this other startup in an in-house environment, it was not that different. So what is key to success? So what is your Midas touch to actually leverage support to drive more revenue?
Yep. So it's an interesting question, and I'm gonna give an answer that you actually teach me how to get it. So it's gonna be complicated because you know the answer already. One of the things that I appreciate most from you, and I have to say this, is that you teach me how to put the things in a different way. So thank you very much for that, Cami. But yeah, the idea in general is in order to like improve the revenue, and it's a complicated piece because sometimes we see support as a cost, not as something that brings money to the table. But if we go to the backbone of the, for example, NPS or the satisfaction of the customers, whatever brings you back to a company, it's just those small details. The product can be good, and let's talk about a general one like a credit card. You can have the best credit card that gives you points back and everything. But whenever you need something from them, they're not there to help you. So that's what makes the difference within having, like, for example, a customer that is loyal. And I like to say that for everybody, we have like companies that we're in love with, and we can like share our experiences with it. So it goes beyond what we think. So the support piece is really important to get the revenue grow by the fact that the product by itself cannot be supported. So they need people for to support those projects, and they need people to answer those lines and answer those emails, and that's where we excel, or where we can be successful, and how can we bring money to them. And there's a lot of strategies that makes us successful, depending on the client itself and the product that we're selling. But I think that whenever the experience aligns with the product, that's where we go to the other level and get better at the revenue growth, if you want to say it, or like be recommended. In the last one that we were working together with, there was a lot of communication within the merchants and how they relate to the other merchants in the other, like the next corner of the street, so they can share their experiences. And I think that support was a part of it. We were able to win a prize back in the summer as the best customer experience team, and this was just because we were like putting ourselves, working our asses off to get that done. So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there is something that you mentioned here that really resonated to me, and I used to say this very often. A company or you can have the cutting edge technology,
Yep.
However, if the experience, if the relationship is not there, then the only thing you have is a product.
Yes.
In a product, moreover, over time is becoming a commodity, right?
Mhm.
So how many new companies go live absolutely every day? Something that today is kind of shining and resonating very much tomorrow may not, because another company came in. We were kind of course 2 or 3 weeks ago we were discussing DeepSeek on this AI environment that got absolutely everybody off guard, and that's the reality. So again, what is going to sustain companies long term is not necessarily the technology. Technology is like short term. Oh, you have something that is cutting edge. Fantastic. Let me go see it. We saw kind of the amount of downloads from of DeepSeek. But what sustain companies long term is actually the relationship. In relationship to me, again, something else that you just mentioned is how are we going to support those clients when the problem arises?
Mhm.
Because whenever things go well, everything is fine, right? When the problem arises is that we can actually differentiate being there and moreover, feeling the client's pain, putting ourselves on their shoes and getting things resolved on a timely manner and with high quality is what kind of makes a huge difference. So yes, it was really good to be awarded with the best support of the industry.
Yeah.
Something that I know will stay forever with this team and everybody that was involved in this project. I keep this in my heart. Okay, but now let's get back to in-house and BPO. So, Juan, after so many years of experience, after kind of being in both sides of this equation, what would you tell the audience to take into consideration when deciding for either an in-house or a BPO or a mix of the two? What's to have in top of their head?
That's an interesting consideration, Camille. So it's really important. So I'm going to start between just like overseeing the service as something that we need to like outsource in-house or be mixed. So to understand it better is if I got a company which is large enough to be outsourced, it's going to be better for you to outsource and go to a provider because you're not going to have the broadband to cover everything, right? So what I see as a challenge and with the experience that I have already is that if you got like a company and you're focused onto the product itself, and let's say hardware or software, and you want to as well run the support, that's going to be tough. But in order to get to that point, and in order to make the outsource, you got to have the processes for your product really well mapped. So the important piece in coming from an outsource is whenever we see clients or these small clients that were like, I don't know, like 20, 30 FTEs, in 20, 30 people working with them, it was complicated to get all the processes. So whenever the things go to our people that is actually handling the interactions, there was a lot of processes that were not there. So I think at that moment it's going to be complicated to be or to have those companies being successful because we're just going to be answering phones with 2 pages of information from the product. And I think that in order to go there, you gotta be a little bit bigger and then go to the outsourcing piece whenever you have your processes written down and the things like, for example, FAQs, something that is pretty simple, right? A product comes out, and with the startups, for example, we were not having like the newest pieces of information. So at that moment, with this last company, if we were to outsource, it was about to be a disaster. Let me tell you that. But with the other companies, like the ones that I have into the performance, we were having thousands of people working for those clients, and it was huge, right? And we also have like the sustainability to take like multiple regions, multiple shifts, pretty much all over the place, and that was where we were really successful, not with the small ones. So whenever you get to the like the space where you have a lot of people there like looking at your product, that's whenever you have to go to the outsourcing piece. And I think it's going to be important because if you want to dedicate your day to take calls and support customers over the phones or over emails, that's not going to leave you time to go back to the product itself and work it. So that's going to be the main differentiator. What I can tell you right now is that uh, Outsource is a fantastic tool. I think it's something that every company at some point requires, and it's something that is going to happen. That's why the outsource piece is so successful around the world, but it's not for everybody. That's my final thoughts. Whenever you get to that point, you will get to know.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it because to me, process documentation is such a good enabler, not only for you to outsource your support, but for you to be more successful, right? So in my past experiences, I have came across situations where expectations were set based on thoughts or perception rather than what was written. And whenever it happens, it's very misleading, right? And when we talk about having the employee at the center of our decision, kind of giving them, providing them the right tools to be successful is the very first step. Regardless if it's in-house or if it's outsourced, having those things documented and our expectations documented as well will definitely help to avoid any misinterpretation or in misleading the team at the end of the day. Good. I love it. I love it. I hope that the audience is kind of getting all the tips from you whenever kind of having to make that decision. And now let's pivot a little bit. So because there is kind of a few questions that I always ask my guests here. And the first one is in your area of expertise, and I think that you have already shared some of the part of the answer here, but in your area of expertise, what is the common mistake you see people making that leads to a poor experience?
There's a lot of things there, and the most common ones is assuming that the people feels the way that you feel. What I can say, the first one is like thinking that the person at the other end of the conversation is thinking or feeling the way that you are feeling whenever you're connecting with them. If you assume that piece, you're lost, and the experience is going to be lost because you think that the conversation is going through. Let me give you a quick example. We can be talking over the phone, and the reactions that I have in my face are not going to be seen by you. So at that moment is whenever you lose the experience there. So one of the things is like, don't assume that they are feeling the same way. If, for example, you send an email to a person and you think it's really formal and really professional, but they don't feel like the connection, and that's where you lose the experience. Or maybe you answer back a comment in, like, I don't know, Instagram or whatever. You cannot transmit or like share those like feelings that you have, and especially for us, we're from Latin America, and the way that we communicate is different. So that's one of the things that changes the most, and I see people going crazy by a message. It also happens in the family, right? You send them a message like a yes, but we're really worried, and you were like going crazy all over the place, but your mom doesn't feel like that yes was a lovely yes. So that's where I think that the experience gets lost. And the other piece, and it's also really important, trying to save some cents, just a couple of cents, and losing a lot of dollars. That's one of the main mistakes that I see over the place throughout the time. Maybe sometimes the customers just want to like something back, like in return of their bad experience, and for you trying to save, like, I don't know, 50 cents, $1, $10, you're losing a lot of clients. And as we mentioned, the experience that we share over the time, and how we share those values with the company that you're like sharing over, it's gonna be crazy. So they say, like, in general, people say that a good experience maybe not mentioned, because that's something that you think it's gonna be there or requires to be there, but a bad experience is gonna be delivered like 10 times, and you're gonna say to everybody that it was an unsuccessful one, and that's where you lose a lot of the client experience, or the experience itself of our customers.
Yeah, no, I can agree more with you. Sometimes I feel like we are operating on the automatic mode, right, where we are not necessarily present. And as you know, I have recently transitioned out of corporate, and this is one of the things that I have paid so much attention to, which is being present, whatever I'm doing. So right now we are here in this podcast. I am 100% here. I am not here kind of thinking of something else. Sometimes you're not even kind of doing something else. But the fact that your thoughts and your mind is not here kind of does not help you to connect, right?
Exactly.
Connecting with others is so powerful. For you to understand, again, beyond the yes that you give to your mom, for you to understand beyond that the problem that your client is sharing with you, because sometimes even though we have the CRM tools and we have all of the ticketing system, so what is going on behind the scenes, right? And being present help us connecting and going beyond.
Yeah.
Uh, and definitely makes a difference. So even in our kind of transitioning this to personal life, right? So sometimes you go and talk to, hey, you go to your manager's office. Oh, I need a minute. And your manager say, oh, yes, come on in. But he keeps typing or he keeps doing something else and not necessarily listening to you. And you may have a problem or you may have something to share that is not necessarily related to the company or to the business, but that will definitely have an impact because you have something else concerning you. Um, and we don't spend a minute just listening to our employee, right? So yeah, I think this is very powerful. Being present, going beyond of what is written, of what is said. And I do love one of the sayings from Maya Angelou that says, "People will forget what you say, people will forget what you did, but they will never ever forget how you made them feel."
Yeah. I know.
Right?
And I have to say something on that note, Cami. That's something that I admire from you. Whenever you were at the office here in Mexico, I know that you were traveling a lot over the place, but whenever you were at the office, even though you have like a lot of things to do, the time was for us to connect, to understand each other, to work together, and your agenda was dedicated to work all of us together and get the 10 people in the room and have the whole day to just work without for each one of them or the people that were there, and then having the time for them. So that's something that I pretty much do in a weekly basis with my team. Just connect with every one of them. Sometimes you, at some point, you get to the point that you don't have anything to say, but you just connect. And what are you doing? What? How do you feel? How do you feel about everything? So that's an important piece. Thank you for sharing that.
No, absolutely. And I, again, in a world where we attend so many worthless or useless meetings, having the time to truly connect is so powerful. And I can tell you, I learned so much from you all in those meetings, right? Of course, when I was there, oh no, come in here, so let's have those meetings and so. But the fact that we were in a trustworthy environment, that we felt open and freedom to challenge each other, that's when we grow.
Yep.
Because we all see the world from our lenses, from our perspectives. So having others sharing their thoughts, sharing their perspective, and challenging ourselves is so powerful and it's so enlightening. So yeah, very
Yes.
appreciated. This is something that I do very often. I love, by the way, I love doing this because I learn very much. Good. So we are kind of heading to the end, but before that, one final question here for you, Juan. So if you can share, and I think that you have already shared a few, but if there's anything else that you can share with us, the kind of a pivotal experience in your life, right, that is shaped either who you are or how you approach creating meaningful experience. You have mentioned a lot about employees in your team, and I do remember how high you used to score in employee satisfaction. But
Yeah.
is there something special that has shaped your life that you want to share with us?
That's quite interesting, and I would say that one of the things that shaped my life the most in the recent years, it's making that like movement, right? Going from the outsourced company. So for so many years, it was quite painful. I was actually like really, really, really sad to like leave the company that I was with for 8, 9 years and then move to another one and start a new project. That was something that was an experience completely for me. And the fact that the new company gave me the like open space to work and to think and to be able to share my ideas and start making things in a different way was an experience that changed my life from night to day. So now I see the things in a different way. If I talked about myself a year and a half ago and see it right now, it's a completely different person from the time that I was there. So taking that leap of faith and just jumping to the unknown was just the biggest opportunity and the experience. It was at sometimes like something that it was frightening for me. So I was scared of like making the change, and I was scared of like failing and coming back home and go to my other employer before and say, hey, could you take me back and anything like that. But now I see the things in a different way. So if I can share something with the audience, is don't hesitate to make those decisions. You can always, I mean, have a bad experience and learn from it, or you can have an amazing experience and also learn from them. So do not stay at the place that you are if you're not 100% happy, uh, and also continue challenging yourself. That's going to be my points and like my advice that I can give you.
No, fantastic. And it's that it was definitely kind of a tough transition. You were very bold on your decision. I do remember our conversations before that happened, and I'm so glad that you took the courage. You had the courage to transition because, as you correctly said, regardless of how bad or good it was all about learning. And we will only know if you like it or not if you give ourselves the chance to experience this. Now, speaking of experience, right?
Yeah,
Now you know what resonates better to you, but because you took the courage of experiencing something different. And I think this is such a good way to end this podcast, kind of inspiring our audience to take the chance. If, as you correctly said, if you're not 100% happy, try something different.
of
The
course.
risk is that you're going to find happiness. Look at this.
Sometimes you're not gonna find it, but you're gonna have something different. It's not gonna be the same, and you're not gonna stay there. So take that leap of faith and just go to something different. If that's not what is making you 100% happy, right?
Absolutely. As you said, even if you get back to BPOs and outsourcing right now, you're going to come back with a completely different mindset
Of course.
where you're going to navigate and lead, taking into account all of these in house experience. And this is fantastic because it will position you in a completely different way. So, the least I have to say is congratulations on your decision. Congratulations on your background, on everything that you have been doing. Particularly speaking, as you know, it was a pleasure sharing part of my journey with you and learning from you and partnering to be recognized and awarded as the best of the industry. So this is something I'll definitely take with me. And moreover, thank you so much for taking the time and being here today, sharing with me and with my audience all of your learnings, all of your tips. I think that it resonates a lot with other CX leaders. So it was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me, Cami. It was an amazing experience being here with you today, and looking forward to continue connecting with you. It's always a pleasure to have a conversation with you in any kind of way, like over the message or over a video call or presentially. It's just a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you so much. See you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.